We're just here at the spray booth now, and we're getting ready to do some inner frame detailing on Barbatos. When I think about Barbatos, and I think a lot of people do, it's one of its most memorable features on the inner frame is the hydraulic cylinders here and here. But what I didn't realize is there's hydraulic cylinders up here and throughout the body. To say there's one or two on this would be a great underestimate. All of these are the hydraulic cylinder tubes that we are going to paint. Now, this is the color of our inner frame. And most of the time, you see people have like a candy red on these hydraulic cylinders, or they're painted like a steel color or some form of metallic. But I was playing around with some translucent paints and some metallic paints, and I came up with this darker bronze like metallic color using this speed paint Army Painter Copper and this Kaleido Clear Red Translucent. And I thought this was just different enough that it would make it look, different, stand out, and be unique, but keeping those Barbatos features. Then in the next video, we'll do this color. And the only difference between this one and this one is instead of using the copper, we're going to use a gold metallic, but I'll show you what features we're going to do that one in. All right, so let's get ready. We'll just get these out of the way. We'll bring in my airbrush. Now, I have the Serene Air by Gallery compressor. It's a good little tiny compressor. And this is the airbrush that it came with. Again, for all the priming and metallics, it's a very good airbrush. It does a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of the dirty work. But when I go to do the clear and red metallic or the translucent reds and all that, I'll end up using this Mobius one just for a little bit finer control. And I find it's a better airbrush for that. And because this is a speed paint, and that's the only metallic I have right now, so it's already fairly thin. We're just going to add a couple drops, 1, 2, 3, 4 of thinner. And what I normally do is I just give a little test spray. And we'll start. It's probably going to take a couple of coats. There's no rush. Thin coats. You'll be well rewarded on it in the long run if you just have a little bit of patience. So after 2 coats, we have this bronze color. From using, I say bronze, but really it's this speed paint copper. It really didn't need to be thinned because it's a speed paint, but it came on really nice. And what we'll do now is we will add this translucent clear red by Kaleido. I already did a test spoon as I showed you earlier, and we can see it just gives a little bit of a deeper tone than currently the copper color that it is, and give it more of that brass tone. Given that it's a hydraulic cylinder, I think it's going to give it that rusty, leaking hydraulic fluid feel. And maybe I'll try to get some translucent black if it comes out just a little bit too shiny. So for applying the translucent red, I'll be using my Mobius airbrush, just because I find it's a little bit better for control. I'll just try to do this on camera. I normally don't, but we're just going to add a touch of thinner. I'm going to probably try to do roughly 5 parts translucent to 1 part thinner, because the translucent paint is very, very thin. right. We can take a look and see. We'll stir that up. And I use the thinner retarder so that it'll just give me a little bit more spray time. And as I said, I'm using the Serene Air, so it's got fixed PSI settings. I got it on the lowest setting right now, which is 15. And I usually like to take just a test spray before I get before I actually start spraying. So just get a feel for how the paint is going. And that's looking pretty good. So what I'll do now is I'll just take my little piece, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do thin layers, and you're going to want to do it the same number of time and the same layer thickness on all cylinders, because you'll notice the difference with the translucence. So we'll go through. I can already see the paint go on, which is great. I'm not sure if it's picking it up in the camera that well, but I'll come back and I'll show you after we get a few coats on. All right, 4 rounds in. This was our baseline color, and I think we got it just a little bit more rusty looking, which is what we were going for. This is almost like a clean brass, and I kind of wanted the reds and the rust to show through. After all, Barbatos is on Mars, and red soil, corrosion, Barbatos being a rough, rugged animal, I think I'm quite happy with how these hydraulic cylinders came out. So that was 4 coats of the translucent red. I went a little bit overboard. It goes a long ways, the translucent, and I could probably do a lot more spraying with just a couple of drops that I put in. Well, we're getting there. I got another bit of detailing to do. In my next video, it'll be all these cable runs. Not sure how I'm going to color them yet. I might base them with this plate mail metallic, and try a different clear coat color and experiment. So let's stay tuned for that. And of course, like and subscribe if you want.